All right, everybody, welcome back. This is part 27, so we're getting down to the nitty gritty of my 2026 VHS collection overview series. Now, sorry, my head itches. The rest of what you will see here is all action movies. Action is always my favorite genre, as you all very well know at this point. So we will actually. No, I lied. You guys know me. I lie about everything. There's a couple over here that are not action. So, my bad. So, actually, we'll start with these. There is some action movies in here. And then the rest of this is all action. And then we will... It might be longer than an hour. We'll see. If we have to spill over into the next part, that's fine. And then we'll finish up with my grandparents' stack of tapes. So we'll do that. All right, so let's roll. So I lied again. You guys know me. I lie about everything. But these are kind of the bigger packaging here and stuff. So there is some action movies in here. There's also some random things. So my bad, I forgot. You guys know me. I lie about everything. Anyway, first up, we have the widescreen release of Die Hard, because Fox, I think the late 90s, let me see what the copyright date is on this, if there is one, 1997. So the late 90s, after DVD had kind of got started, Fox did a line of widescreen VHS. Also, again, in the late 90s is when widescreen TVs were becoming a thing, and big screen TVs were becoming a thing. So they were trying to show people that, hey, the black bars that you see are normal, and trying to, I guess, get people to switch over to widescreen. And then in 2000, I think 2008, 2009, when everything went to widescreen, then people realized. So there you go. And then here's a little ad for that. So let me see what movies they had in that line. So you had the Die Hard trilogy, Strange Days. I know they did Broken Arrow. I know they did the Aliens films. So they were all of the kind of the bigger titles they did. So I found this at a Goodwill and kept it, and I would like to get the other two Die Hard movies to match. Well, the out of the trilogy, obviously there's more than two more Die Hard movies, but at the time it was only a trilogy. So there you go. But still cool to have. So there's that. Then this is a custom release. Again, these are very hit and miss. So we'll see what happens, but it's actually Hobo with a Shotgun with Rutger Hauer, which I do like the movie. I just don't like the ending because, spoiler alert, they kill off Rutger Hauer, and I was thinking, why would you do that? Because you can make sequels. I would much rather have had a sequel, Hobo with a Shotgun 2, Electric Boogaloo, than not. So I don't know what they were thinking there, but other than that, I do like the movie. Then this is the other Sopranos screener, master, whatever you want to call it. This is for In Camelot, which is from the 5th season. So this never came out on VHS. So it only was put out as a screener or a master or whatever that somebody that worked on the show probably had access to. So there's that. Then we have a couple more electronic press kits here. These are actually Canadian electronic press kits. I doubt that there's anything different from the American ones, but they are Canadian. So there you go. So first up we have Sleepers. Great movie. Fucked up movie, but a great movie. Do enjoy this one. So on here you have the trailer. So the trailer is twice. Again, there's one without the music and then with the music, but you need to be able to switch the audio channel on your VCR. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clips from the movie. Then you have 13 minutes of B-roll and then 25 minutes of interviews. So, and this has a print date of October 8th, 1996. So there you go. Still haven't watched it yet. And then the same seller also, I got really this one, and then Sleepers, I figure I get that one as well. But we have The Glimmer Man, the Steven Seagal film, which you have the trailer twice, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clips from the movie, 10 minutes of B-roll footage, and then another 10 minutes of interviews. So there's that. And again, I have not watched these, so I don't know what is all in the B-roll and the interviews and such, and I'll check that out. And then after I check it out, along with my other electronic press kits, I'll digitize them and maybe put some stuff here on. Like the movie clips and stuff I can't put up, but I can probably get away with the B-roll footage and the interviews, since that has never come out anywhere. So there you go. Another bootleg here, because this movie still has not come out in America. It was supposed to, and then it got canceled. Even in the DVD and Blu-ray era, this still has never come out in the States. But we have Crying Freeman with Mark Dacascos, which I do quite enjoy, and again it has never come out here in America. I don't know why. To this day, it still hasn't. It was supposed to come out in theaters. It was promoted, and then it got canceled, and then it only came out overseas. So there you go. Then I've talked about this before regarding some of these horror films that I have as well in getting in this collection. But the main reason why I bought the collection was to get this, which is the original release of Phantasm on VHS, 20th Century Fox Video, and it is the slide out, type of box here. But this is pretty hard to come by. I've only ever seen this on eBay twice, once before, and then when I got it. So it has shown its age, but that's okay. But still wanted to get this. I love, again, these old big box packagings and such. And I'm pretty sure that is the version that is missing the scene. So whenever I watch it, I'll know for sure. Then I bought this at New Jersey Horror Con. The guy that made this movie was selling it, and I bought it on VHS, but it's called Labor Day. I still haven't watched it. It's still sealed. But it's shot on video, which is cool. And he was, talking about it and everything. And I think I got this, and I think he gave me a poster as well. But, yeah, we'll see what's going on with this one. We'll see what happens. And then got some more bootlegs here. So first up, we have the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, because of course, as you know, this never was released. This never came out because they only made it to retain the rights, and that's it, and that's the truth. So there you go. But I do have it on VHS, because why not? Then I have a theater recorded bootleg of From Dusk Till Dawn. I found this randomly at a Goodwill. I also have Batman and Robin. I should have kept that, because it would have been funny to hear people's reactions to it. But yeah, this is a old school, again, in theater recorded bootleg of From Dusk Till Dawn. So that should be pretty cool to check out. And then we got some good old Tai Sang video marketing. We have Game of Death 2, aka Tower of Death. So there you go. Which I actually quite like this film. I did watch the first time I saw it was for a paid request. I had never seen it prior to that, even though I had it on DVD for quite a while. I had that Bruce Lee Ultimate Collection box set, and Game of Death 2 was included in there, but I never watched it for whatever reason. And then, again, did get a paid request for it, and actually quite liked it. So there you go. I don't know why this has never gotten kind of its own individual release on, officially at least, DVD or Blu-ray, because in America, the only way that it came out officially, again, was in that old Bruce Lee Ultimate Collection box set that I had. And then it's only on Blu-ray. It's only in the Criterion set here in America, and then overseas it's in the Arrow set. I don't know why Game of Death 2 never got its own individual release. Oh well. Alright, so the rest, as far as I know, unless something's lurking in there somewhere, which I don't think it is, unless something's hiding in there somewhere, which I don't think it is, this is all action films. So we'll get to that right about now. So we will start with Jackie Chan. Got a bunch of Jackie Chan movies here. One of my goals for this year is to finish up a lot of these guys, like the American releases of Jackie Chan movies and Jet Li and some of these other guys. So that's one of the goals, so to speak, for this year. So first up, we I don't even know. I think it may have got this at a Goodwill, because I didn't pay no $18 for it. Okay, that's weird. They put 10, then they put 18. So I don't know what's up with that. I might have gotten this at a Goodwill, though. I'm not entirely sure. But we have Police Story, which is the New Line Cinema edit, because they did put out Police Story 1 and 2, but they only put them out on VHS and Laserdisc. They did not put them out on DVD for whatever reason. Then I got this at Retro Replay, but we have Miracles, which is a former Blockbuster rental. This is the American release of the movie, but Sony, Columbia TriStar, whatever you want to call them, it's all the same thing. They also released the original Hong Kong version under Black Dragon. So that's one of the few Jackie Chan movies where the American studio actually released both versions of the film, which is cool. And then we have Operation Condor, which of course is actually the second movie, but that's okay. I did have this once before when I got it at a Goodwill, but when I got it on DVD, I got rid of it. I kept the second one because, well, the second one, which is really the first one, because that has a trailer for Best of the Best 4, which at the time, you couldn't even find a trailer here on YouTube for that. So there you go. But this is a former rental from one of the places I used to rent at here. So that's another reason why I grabbed that. Now, and I'm putting these all in the release of how they originally came out, not in the American releases. But I found this on eBay. I thought that this was very interesting. It is a screener or a studio master of Drunken Master 2, but it's under the Drunken Master 2 title, and it's dated May 26, 1995, and it's from Miramax. But Miramax did not put this out in America until 2000, so I don't know. I would be really curious to hear the story about this. I don't know if after Rumble in the Bronx came out, they were already starting to gobble these up, and maybe Drunken Master 2 they were thinking about releasing first, and then they pushed it. So, again, I would be really curious to hear the story of that. So, yeah, it has a print date 5 years before it actually came out here in America. And it does have the original Drunken Master 2 title. Now, I don't know if the movie's in English or not. Again, I have not watched it yet, but we will see when we get to that. Then, as I just mentioned, got Rumble in the Bronx, which I did have this on VHS before, but when I got it on DVD, I got rid of it. But I think the one I had was a reprint. This is the original print, because you could tell by the paper label. And it does say 1996 as the copyright date, because I am a nerd about these type of things, as you all very well know. Then we have Jackie Chan's First Strike, which is Police Story 4. But love this movie, always did. This is another one where I had it before, and then when I got it on DVD, I got rid of it. But again, this is the original printing with the paper label, and it says 97. I think the one I have was a reprint. And then we have Mr. Nice Guy, which is a former Blockbuster rental, even though I got it at a Goodwill. And this is the original, even though at this point New Line had switched over to just stamping the label on there. And there's your Blockbuster label, which is upside down for whatever reason. Because they did a Jackie Chan box set. It's called Extreme Chan 3-pack. It was a VHS and DVD. I had it on VHS. Actually, I had it on DVD as well at one point. I had that, but they were reprints of the movies. They weren't the originals, so I wanted to get the originals. Then we have the bonus edition of Shanghai Noon, which is, I've always enjoyed this one. It is found it at a Goodwill. It does have 3 featurettes on here: Making an Eastern Western, Partners, and Western Stunts Eastern Style, which is very cool. I think I had the regular release at one point, but I wanted to get this one. And I was, speaking of Goodwill, I was at a Goodwill yesterday, and they had Shanghai Nights, but it was only $1, but the box was all fucked up, so I didn't want to get it. And then we have the medallion, which is okay. I don't mind the medallion, but I got this at one of the last local mom and pop store when they were going out of business. So yeah, there is some gaps I need to fill in with the Jackie Chan stuff. That's the plan this year, is to do that. Same with the next guy we're going to talk about. So working on that stuff slowly but surely. So then, if it wants to behave, I do have a bunch of Jet Li movies to go with. To raise your Jackie Chan, I have a Jet Li. So we have Once Upon a Time in China, the first 3 at least. So here's the first one, which these are the English dubs of the movies, because I think Sony released them in English and Chinese, but clearly I don't speak Chinese. And I got all 3 of these at the flea market, and they were $1, so I can't complain. And then we got Once Upon a Time in China 2. And Once Upon a Time in China 3, which I think Sony only put out the first 3. They only had the license to do the first 3. Of course, Part 4, Jet Li was not in, and then he came back for Part 5. But like I said, they never released those. And then we have The Enforcer from Dimension Films. So they did all these in the Jet Li collection, which is very cool. So this is, what is it called in Hong Kong? Yeah, this is My Father is a Hero. That's what it's called there. But this is a former Blockbuster rental. I got it at a Goodwill, though. So there's that. Then we got Black Mask, which I did get this at a Goodwill as well. But really, I really quite like Black Mask. That's pretty fun. And then we have actually the rest are all his American films. So then we have Romeo Must Die, which Romeo Must Die, Kiss of the Dragon, Cradle to the Grave, and Unleashed I got at the last local mom and pop store when they were closing up. And then we have again Kiss of the Dragon, which is my favorite of his American movies. It always was. Then we have The One, which I did have The One before. I got this at a video game store. One day I was working a show. After the show, we got done like super early, and I had plenty of time to kill, so I just kind of piped in my phone, if there was a video game store or a record store or whatever around, and I got The One and the second Tomb Raider movie on VHS, which we'll cover in a little bit here. And then we've got Cradle to the Grave, which I do like. I just don't like that they completely just gutted the edit. The editing on the final fight was terrible. And then we have Unleashed, which this is the R-rated cut, because I don't think they put out the unrated version on VHS. I think, again, though, there might have been a little bit of trimming done, maybe a little bit more extra violence, but I don't think it was anything that was cut to actually get the R rating. So there you go. And then while we're continuing on with that, I do have a little bit of Van Damme and Seagal here. So first up, we got Knockoff, which I did have Knockoff, I think, at one point on VHS. And then when I got it on DVD, got rid of it, but wanted to get it back in the collection. And this is a former Blockbuster rental, which is cool. But Knockoff is a movie that grew on me. When I first saw it, I didn't like it. And then over time, it picked up some traction with me. But it's based, as I said before, Double Team and Knockoff are if Van Damme did a Jackie Chan film. That's exactly what it would be. Then we've got Legionnaire, which I actually quite like this one. Something a little different from Van Damme, a little more serious. You know, some different things going on in there. But sadly, it went straight to video. They sent me a free Pokemon card for some reason. But I don't think I ever had this one on VHS though. I only ever had this on DVD and Blu-ray. So there's that. Then we have Replicant. Really enjoyed this movie. It's a shame that this did not go to the theaters like it was supposed to, but that's all right. But it is a former Blockbuster rental, but I did get it at a Goodwill. And this is another one that I never had on VHS. I only had it on DVD and Blu-ray. And what's really cool is the date that this went out for sale is actually my birthday, my 10th birthday, May 19th, 2002. So there you go. So that was the Van Damme that I was missing. And these are the Seagal movies that I was missing. So first up, we have Out for a Kill. So we're in the direct-to-video years. This is the one where he's sitting down during fight scenes and he's fighting a monkey or whatever. Yeah. I never had that on VHS. And then we have Out of Reach, where most of the movie he's dubbed because apparently they changed everything after they were done shooting the movie and he was apparently not available to do ADR. So there's that. So I never had those two on VHS. And then this is interesting. This is a documentary. You could only get this on his website back in the day. And I do have it on DVD because it did come out as a promo, which I do have when he had that cop show, Lawman. They did like a promo screener thing and they included it on there. But it is available here on YouTube. You can find it, but I was able to find the DVD, or the DVD and the VHS. This is called Steven Seagal, The Path Beyond Thought, which is more about his Aikido and his martial arts and stuff. But it's actually pretty good, and there's some footage of him training and teaching and stuff, which is very cool. But you know, I know a lot of people now. Obviously, now he's a joke, but back then, you know, he was a legit martial artist. He was a legit Aikido guy, and people tend to forget that. But you know, I think it's more of him being an idiot is what people talk about. So there's that. So we will move from there into Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson, and then we'll just kind of go from there. I had these before, but they are the bigger box releases. When I had them, they were cut down to fit because they were rentals, you know, the harder cases or whatever. But I do have the big box releases, the original releases of the first two Missing in Action movies. I got this at the flea market for $5 each. So we have the original Missing in Action. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. So there you go. And they're in pretty good shape. I can't complain. And then we've got Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, which technically is the first one. And I did not pay $79.95 for it. So there's that. But again, love these old, like with Phantasm, love these old big box packaging releases and stuff. If I don't have the movie, I like to get them because they're just cool to have. And then also, actually, I think I had all these before, except the last one. But next up, we have Firewalker. I had the Video Treasures budget re-release. So this is the original media release. And I got this, I think, at Retro Replay or the Flea Market, one of the two. Again, they're owned by the same people. And then we got Hero and the Terror, which again, same thing. I did have this on VHS, but it was the Video Treasures budget re-release. This is the original media release, so there you go. But love these old school Chuck Norris VHS tapes. Can't go wrong. And then I did have Forest Warrior at one point, and then I got rid of it. But I figured, what the hell, get it back in the collection for Chuck. So there you go. So I got all of these, all the Chuck Norris ones except the next one. I got at all the movies, I should say. I got those at the Flea Market and Retro Replay for $5, except Forest Warrior was $3. So there you go. And then this one I got off of eBay. I didn't even know this was a thing until it popped up. But we have Walker Texas Ranger Something in the Shadows. So this is the 2-part episode. They just edited both of the parts together to make it like a movie, and they sold it like that. And why it's 2 is because I would assume that this was the second VHS that they did in that style in Japan. So I don't know how many more they did there. If they did ones that never came out here, I would like to get them. Even though all the pictures on here are from the pilot. But this is not that episode. This is Something in the Shadows, which I think that's the episode with Giovanni Ribisi where Jeff Cobber was his stepdad and he was trying to get him to deal drugs, and I think he was Ribisi was one of Walker's students and he was trying to get him out of that. I think that's the 2-part episode on here. Again, it's been a little while since I've seen them. But always cool to have these. Love getting Japanese VHS. They're just a little classier, a little nicer, and especially for stuff that never came out here in America, they will absolutely play here. So very nice. So there's that, and then we got a couple of Bronson movies, and then everything else. So we got some other actor type of stuff in here, so no worries. But we got some Bronson. First up, we have Raid on Entebbe, which is based on a true story. I think it was Operation Thunderbolt in Israel when the plane got hijacked and they had to go deal with it, which Delta Force is based on this real incident. But they made like 4 movies at the time. They did this one, Raid on Entebbe, which was made for television, I believe. There's a bunch. James Woods is also in this. Martin Balsam is in it. Yaphet Kotto, as you can see on the front. I think there was one called Operation Thunderbolt. Then there was another one that came out. So they made like 3 movies about that incident at the time. And then again, the Delta Force, the first Delta Force, is based on that incident as well. So there you go. Then I do have another, because I need another copy of Death Wish 2, but this is from Good Times. This is 1999, so this may have been the last release of Death Wish 2 on VHS. But I do like that artwork. I know it's all it's that shitty Good Times artwork, but hey, that's why we like it. So there you go. So you can't go wrong with that. So they did, I think Good Times released Death Wish 2 on VHS a bunch, whether it was by itself or in multi-packs or what have you. So there's that. And then Warner Brothers did re-release it as well. If I ever find that release, I'll pick it up. But yeah, just needed another Death Wish 2 VHS there. And then I do have Death Wish 4, The Crackdown. Again, this is the original media release. Everywhere I went for the longest time, I could only find the Video Treasures. Excuse me. I'm allergic to the fact that I could only find the Video Treasures budget re-release, but I think I got this at Retro Replay. I popped in there one time, and they did actually have the original media release, which is really nice. It's still really glossy. It looks like it's never been watched. And what I love is there's a little thing on the back there about the movie on Laserdisc. And I did have this release back in the day. When I first got the movie on DVD, I actually gave this to my grandfather because the reason why I like Charles Bronson and the reason why I found out about Charles Bronson was really because of him. And unfortunately, that was towards the end of his life, and he was not doing well in the last couple years of his life. So I kind of gave this to him, maybe help him feel a little bit better and such. So there you go. But after he died, I guess that went in the garbage or what have you. So I did finally get that back in the collection, and I remember getting that at an antique mall back in the day and just watching the shit out of it. I think that was the first Death Wish movie I had physically. So there you go. So good stuff. All right. Well, we got plenty of more action to get into, so let's get rolling here. That's enough. This is pretty cool. This is El Diablo, which is a Western that I believe, was made for HBO in the early 90s. I want to say 1990 this came out. Yes, that is the copyright on here. And it was written and produced by John Carpenter. For whatever reason, he did not direct this film, but he did write and produce it. And I did find this at a Goodwill, and I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't even know what it was until I picked it up, and I was like looking at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, John Carpenter wrote and produced this. Tommy Lee Wallace helped with the writing, and Deborah Hill was also one of the producers. So this should be pretty cool. And you got Goose from Top Gun himself, Anthony Edwards, and Lou Gossett Jr. in the same movie. So we'll see what this is like. I don't know if this is on DVD or Laserdisc or not, but it is at least on VHS. So we'll stick with that if we have to. And I will be right back because I sneezed, so I need to go blow my nose. You guys don't want snot bubbles flying out, do you? I didn't think so. Okay, now that we are back. This chair needs some WD-40 on it, clearly. Next up, we have another late title here, late release VHS here. But we have Four Brothers. I actually always really enjoyed this movie. I saw it when it first came out on DVD. There was, I think, a lady that my mom worked with that she borrowed the movie from, and I have it on Blu-ray. Again, still really enjoy this movie, even though it's pretty much a remake of the John Wayne movie, The Sons of Katie Elder. I still like it. Good stuff here. One of my favorite Mark Wahlberg movies, which I'm not big. I was never big on Wahlberg. There is some stuff that I do think he's quite good in. Like that movie, like Shooter, Fear, The Big Hit. You know, there's some stuff I like, but I was just never the biggest on him as an actor, and he's kind of taken a little bit of a backseat because he was outspoken about his religion and stuff like that, which, you know, I don't have any problem with that. That's his thing. You know, that's cool, you know, but he's kind of on the back burner now, so to speak. Oh, well. Then we have True Romance. This is the director's cut. This is the unrated director's cut. I don't know. I think the theatrical version may have come out on VHS. I'm not entirely sure about that. But luckily I found the director's cut, which is the better version of the movie. And I found it at a Goodwill. So I cannot complain. Then we have Bird on a Wire. Pretty underrated movie here. Actually quite like this. Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn, and directed by John Badham, one of my favorite directors. David Carradine is the villain in here. I think Bill Duke from Predator and Commando is one of the other bad guys in this, so you can't go wrong. But always really enjoyed this movie. I need to get the Blu-ray. Kino put this out on Blu-ray here. I do have it on, I think, still DVD. But, yeah, always quite enjoyed this. Yeah, Bill Duke is in this, my bad. They kind of did the credits weird on here. It's probably a typo, to be honest. But, yeah, always had fun with this. Good early 90s action comedy. I think it did well when it came out, but you don't really hear people talk about it anymore, which is kind of sad because, I do think it is quite a pretty damn good movie as far as I'm concerned. Another one that I find quite good and underrated is The Saint. which is, of course, based on the TV series with Val Kilmer. Always enjoyed this film. This is another one that was constantly on TV back in the day that I used to watch all the time. My mom actually quite likes this movie as well, because my mom did always like Val Kilmer as an actor, so, and I did as well. I always thought he was a sensational actor as far as I'm concerned, and I was very sad when he died, because I always enjoyed his work. I don't agree with how he treated people, but I think towards the end, he kind of realized that, and I'm sure he tried to make amends with people, which was nice. So there you go. But Kurt Russell, I know when he got sick, I know Kurt Russell actually reached out to him, and they had a very nice conversation, which was awesome. So there you go. But always quite enjoyed this film. I don't think it did that well when it came out. I know a lot of people that like the TV series weren't a fan of it, including the Saint himself, Roger Moore. But I like it for what it is. And I did get that at the local mom and pop store when they were wrapping things up. I think it's on Blu-ray at this point. I have it on DVD, but I think it does have a Blu-ray at this point. I have to look into that. Then we have another late release here, a later VHS title, but we have Constantine, because you got to have Constantine in here. I know they're trying to do a sequel all these years later, but I don't care. I'll stick with this. You got Hellblazer was the name of the comic book. As you got Keanu Reeves as Hellblazer. Come on now, can't go wrong with that. But did pick this one up again at the last mom and pop store when they were wrapping it up, which is I was disappointed. Well, not disappointed. I get it. They were the people that ran it. It was always the same owners, nice people, wonderful people. They were getting older. I know the wife. The wife. I know she was having a lot of health issues, and the husband was too. As he was getting older, he was having more and more health issues. So, you got to take care of yourselves and their kids. It's funny because there's friends of our family that know the owner's kids and talking about them, and they all live like hours and hours away. So, there wasn't really anybody to kind of help them out. So they had to do what they had to do, which is understandable. But I used to love, again, I told this story before, but one of the first things I did when I turned 18, I didn't go buy cigarettes or, do whatever typical 18-year-olds do. I went in there and got a membership. So, because it's like, there's all these great movies that I haven't seen, and there's VHS, and, that's because I'm a nerd. So there you go. Anyway. So next up, another Mark Wahlberg movie here that I quite enjoy, and it is a remake, but The Italian Job. I saw this when it first came out on DVD. Excuse me. Actually, no, probably VHS, to be honest. Yeah, I think we were still kind of sticking with VHS for a while, but always really liked this. It did very well. They were going to do a sequel, but it just didn't happen for whatever reason, but again, I quite like this movie. I do like the original quite a bit as well. I do need to get the original on VHS. I do have it on DVD. There is a Blu-ray. I do have the remake on Blu-ray, but I don't have the original on Blu-ray, which I would like to get that. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Next up, we have The Count of Monte Cristo, which I remember when this came out in the theaters, but for whatever reason I did not see it. I've never seen it actually, but I found this at a Goodwill and picked it up because this was the early 2000s. They were trying to get kind of these swashbuckling movies back into the popular consciousness for a while, and I don't think it worked. I don't think it happened because I don't think these movies did that well because The Man in the Iron Mask came out with DiCaprio, and I think that did well. And I actually enjoyed that film. I haven't seen it in probably about 25 years, but I did like that movie. I'd like to go back and give that another look. But they were trying to do some of those other, classic stories. Again, a lot of the Alexander Dumas stories they were trying to make movies of. Once again, the Count of Monte Cristo. They did The Musketeer with Peter Hyams, which I think was a huge flop when it came out. I've never seen that either. So, they were trying to give it another go, and I don't think it worked. And then they didn't really make them. And then Pirates of the Caribbean came out, and that was a huge hit. So there you go. Next up, we got some Stallone movies here. There is a few Stallone movies that I don't have on VHS. I don't have Nighthawks. I would like to get that. Paradise Alley, Oscar. So there's a few. I need to write down which ones I don't have and get those in the collection for Stallone. But here I do have Judge Dredd, which I did have Judge Dredd on VHS, but I've only ever had it as a screener. But I got rid of that, and I do have the retail version here. And I did get this at the local mom and pop store again when they were closing it up. So there's that. And then I do have, because I found this at a Goodwill, I do have the widescreen release of Copland, because I figured why not. I do have the regular full screen release as well, but I figured, come on, it's Copland. Copland's always one of my favorite Stallone movies, always one of his best performances. When I met Robert Patrick, we talked about that. I said Sly should have won the Oscar. He goes, "You're right, he should have." But always loved Copland. Great movie. It was. I wouldn't say it was ahead of its time. I think it was just bad timing. I think that movie was a victim of bad timing. But I'm glad that over the years, people have come to really enjoy that movie. And yeah, Disney was doing some widescreen VHS at the time to kind of entice people. I think the Con Air VHS I have might be in widescreen if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. Next up we have Flight of the Intruder. I actually quite like this movie. This is another one that was always on TV growing up. I do remember catching it on there quite a bit. I do have this on, I believe I have this on Blu-ray and Laserdisc. But the movie, unfortunately, didn't really do much. It didn't go anywhere. I know John Milius directed it, and he said it was a bad experience because he didn't really get to make the movie that he wanted to make and everything. But I still like it for what it is. I can't complain. And I did get this one again at the last local mom and pop place. And then we got some Vin Diesel VHS here. So first up, we got Knock Around Guys, which I do like this one. This is a movie that sat on the shelf for I think 2 or 3 years. I want to say, when did this come out? 2003. I think it was shot in 2000, and I think it was supposed to come out in 2001, but they shelved it for whatever reasons, and then after Vin Diesel blew up because of Fast and the Furious, there were a couple movies, the next one included, that had the same fate where they were done, they were going to come out, the studio shelved them for whatever reason after Vin Diesel had become a star, then they released them, but both of them really didn't do that well. This movie, I think, was a pretty big flop. But I do like it, a nice little crime gangster movie. Enjoy these type of films, so you can't go wrong. And again, this was a local last mom and pop video store standing find when they were shutting it down. And then I have A Man Apart twice, and I will explain why. This is the work print on VHS. It was originally called El Diablo. They changed it because New Line Cinema was going to get sued by Blizzard, who made the Diablo video games. For whatever reason, they were going to sue them. I don't know why, because the video game and this movie have nothing in common with each other, but I guess intellectual property rights or whatever. So there's that. But yeah, this is the work print VHS. Again, this is how people got work prints back in the day. You would find them on these bootleg VHS. You never really knew what you were going to get, so you had to take a gamble. It's not like now where everything is kind of freely available on the internet. So there you go. And then they went back. This is again like Knockaround Guys. This was a movie that was shot before Fast and the Furious. I believe this was shot in 2000 and 2001, somewhere in there. Again, before Fast and the Furious, though. Or maybe it was shot, and you know what? No, I think this was shot after. Knockaround Guys was shot before Fast and the Furious. I think this was shot after, but it suffered the same deal. I think while they were making the movie, Vin Diesel had not become a star yet, and then there were issues. He was difficult to work with. The director, F. Gary Gray, who I do like, he said that it was one of the worst experiences he ever had dealing with Vin Diesel. They did test screenings. Apparently the test screenings were awful. They went back. They reshot scenes. They reshot the ending. And it sat on the shelf, I think, for a year. And then by the time it came out, it had lost its luster. It had lost its steam, and it didn't do well. But I do like this film. I wish that Vin Diesel would have done more movies like this instead of a bunch of shitty Fast and the Furious sequels or a bunch of shitty Chronicles of Riddick sequels. If he had done more of these type of movies, I would enjoy a lot more of his films. And again, this is another last mom and pop video store standing title. And I think I did have this on VHS before, and then when I got it on DVD, I got rid of it. I don't think I might have had, same with Knockaround Guys, I might have had Knockaround Guys on VHS at one point, and then got rid of it when I picked it up on DVD. Excuse me. Alright, let's move on. In my opinion, one of the most underrated movies ever, as far as I'm concerned, and I know Rambo Raff shares that opinion, Uncommon Valor. You gotta have Uncommon Valor on VHS. So there you go. Great movie. Again, I think it's one of the most underrated films ever. That's just how I feel. Next up, another Val Kilmer movie that I quite enjoy, also with Michael Douglas, another great actor. But we have The Ghost and the Darkness. I have this on Laserdisc and DVD as well. There is a Blu-ray. I would like to pick that Blu-ray up at some point. But, excuse me, somebody wrote their name all over this, which I hate when people do that, because eventually you're going to get rid of it. But there you go. But always really enjoyed this movie. Sadly, I don't think it did much when it came out, but it is a pretty damn good movie as far as I'm concerned. Excuse me. And then we've got SWAT. Excuse me again. Always enjoyed this film. Can't go wrong with SWAT. Then we have, where did I get SWAT? Goodwill. Where did I get this? Goodwill. We have Champion of Death with Sonny Chiba, which is one of the movies where he played Mas Oyama, the founder of Kyokushin Karate. So I don't know if the other two ever came out. This one did, from Sterling, even though the box is a different label. But Sterling, they put out all these cheap movies, again, that you would find at the dollar store and such. I don't know if they put out the other ones. I have to look into that. Next up, I have never seen this movie before, but I always wanted to. We have Sky Captain and The World of Tomorrow, which I do remember when this came out in the theater. I think it was a huge flop. I don't think it did anything. But I do remember they made kind of a big deal about it, but it didn't really go anywhere. It didn't really do anything that they wanted it to do. But I picked it up again at the last mom and pop video store standing for $0.25. So if I don't like it, it's not that big of a deal. But we'll see what happens. Next up, we've got some Michael Dudikoff movies here on VHS. I know what you guys are thinking, that I'm crazy for paying the price I did for Radioactive Dreams, but this movie is very hard to come by. If you go on eBay, it's going to be $100 or more. So I got this, I think, at New Jersey Horror Con for $75. But I actually quite enjoyed this movie. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic movie, but the characters read all these pulp detective novels, so they act like that. It's pretty cool. It's an Albert Pion movie as well. Definitely one of the better movies that he did, as far as I'm concerned. But I enjoyed this film. It's pretty cool. And then we've got had this on VHS before, and then for whatever reason I got rid of it because there is no DVD for it, but it is on Laserdisc. But this is The Human Shield, which is the first of the two Middle Eastern action films that he did. Chain of Command was the other. So I do enjoy this one. Directed by Ted Post, who did work with Clint Eastwood and Chuck Norris. And it is a canon film, so there you go. Got this. There's a thrift store that opened up down the street here about a year or two ago, and I actually got that in there, which is cool. And then I picked this up at Goodwill, but we have Black Thunder, which was shamelessly remade as Flight of Fury with Steven Seagal, but I like this version better. But this is kind of the back end of Dudikoff's career when he was making all these, really cheap movies. But it was this Roger Corman produced this, so there you go. But it's okay. I like a lot of those cheapo Dudikoff movies, and I think I have other. I know I have other Wesley Snipes. I might have some other Gary Daniels in here, so I'll hold off on those two for now. But next up we have, and I'm not sure where I got this, but we have 8mm, the Nicolas Cage movie directed by Joel Schumacher. I don't think I've ever seen this. Also, James Gandolfini is in this movie. This was right before The Sopranos started. But I don't think I've ever seen this film. But always wanted to, so that's why I grabbed it. And then, of course, you got to have Iron Eagle on VHS, at least the first one. The sequels, I could do without the sequels. Maybe except Iron Eagle 3, because that had Sonny Chiba in it. But you got to have the original. Not sure where I got this one. Maybe, you know what? This and 8mm. Okay, no, 8mm. I think I got this one at the video store where we go camping. I think I got that there. 8mm, I might have got there as well. I'm not sure. So there's no stickers on them, All right, then we have another film that I've never seen before that I've always wanted to see, but I did get this at a Goodwill. But we have Savior with Dennis Quaid. I do remember when this came out because I remember seeing the poster in the video stores, and I was like, "Oh, that Dennis Quaid, like in an action film." I don't know. I don't think it's really an action film. I think it's more of a drama. But I've always wanted to check this movie out. So again, I found it at a Goodwill for 99 cents. You can't go wrong. Then we got Next of Kin with Patrick Swayze. Always really enjoyed this movie. I don't think I ever had this one on VHS. I think I've only had it on DVD. I had it on DVD at one point, and I do have it on Blu-ray. I think the Blu-ray is out of print, but I would love if Arrow were to do this one, get some extras on there. Sadly, Bill Paxton and Patrick Swayze are gone, but again, always enjoyed that. And I was going to say, I think this is I was right. This is a later Disney title here because it says 2005. I was trying to remember when this came out. But we have National Treasure. Really like the National Treasure movies. It would have been cool if we would have gotten a third one, but I don't think the second one did as well. So that's why we didn't get a second one, or a third one, rather, excuse me. But quite like the National Treasure movies. The second one never came out on VHS, but that's okay. Well, maybe not. Maybe overseas it did. Maybe in South Korea. That I would have to look into. But we'll see. Let's finish up this stack here, and then we'll save the last two. Hold on, before we do that. Okay, I do have more Wesley Snipes And I thought I had more Gary Daniels movies, but I don't. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll do Gary Daniels, since it's only one. Like I said, I thought it was more. And then we'll do Wesley. You looking like a young Wesley Snipes. A go Wesley, a go Wesley, go Wesley. That's from Who's the Man? Sorry. So first up, or next up, whatever's up, we have City of Fear with Gary Daniels, which I have never seen, but I found it at Goodwill for $2. So we'll see what we have to see here. We see what we got going on here, but New Image, I don't think they made this. I think they just released it. Yeah, I think they just released it. But it's Gary Daniels, so we'll see what happens. Then we've got X-Men 2, X-Men United, which was always my favorite X-Men film. So there you go. Former Blockbuster rental here. No, I did not pay $14.99 to get this. I got it at a Goodwill. But there you go. But yeah, this was always my favorite X-Men film. Really enjoyed the first two. So there you go. Then we have a double feature screener. I bought this for Shannon Wirey's beautiful breasts. No, this is a movie called Exit, which had David Bradley as a bad guy. When I was reviewing his movies on the old channel, this was the cheapest way that I could find it because it wasn't online. But I do want to watch the other movie included here, which is called Frame by Frame with Michael Biehn and Marge Hellenberger. So I will give Exit another look, which I wasn't a fan of, but Shannon Wirey was fucking gorgeous back in the day, so there's that. And then I'll check out Frame by Frame. Shannon Wirey was also in Out for Justice with Steven Seagal. She was the waitress that he took to identify the bodies of the other girl towards the end of the movie. Then another widescreen Miramax Dimension Disney title here, which I got brand spanking new for 99 cents, but we have The Crow, Stairway to Heaven, because why not? Or City of Angels. Let's try that again. The Crow, City of Angels, Stairway to Heaven. That's something good, actually. Well, City of Angels has some things I like in it, so I can't complain. Then we've got, speaking of superheroes, we have, yes, the first Fantastic Four did get a VHS release. This is, again, a late title here. Probably one of the last movies that 20th Century Fox put out on VHS. But yes, it did get a release, which is cool. I quite like the first one. Rise of the Silver Surfer was okay, but it was definitely some steps down from the first movie. Then I have the U.S. SEALs sequels. I have the first one. We already covered that. But we have U.S. SEALs 2, which was always my favorite, although I like all three. And both of these are former Blockbuster rentals, which is actually how I saw these movies. The sequels, the first one, I remember watching on Cinemax, but the sequels I remember renting from Blockbuster. And then we have U.S. SEALs Dead or Alive, which was the third movie. And again, former Blockbuster rental here. But New Image, some good old B movie goodness from New Image. So there you go. And then I do have the John Wick trilogy, because in this fucking dojo, it's only a trilogy. But these are custom releases here. So we have the original John Wick, and this is on kind of a greenish plastic. Then we got John Wick Chapter 2, which is on yellow plastic. And then we got John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, which was my favorite. And I saw this in the theaters, and it's in purple plastic. Yeah, John Wick 3 was the only one that I saw in the theaters. In 2024, they did re-release the first John Wick for the 10th anniversary, but I didn't go. Now, if they did a triple feature and they showed all 3 John Wick movies, I would definitely go. So there's that. Then we have the widescreen release of 7. My parents actually had 7 on VHS back in the day. I don't know what the hell happened to it, but this is the widescreen version, so why not? I think it's got some extra, behind the scenes footage and interviews at the end of the movie. So, very cool. Oh, Jesus, got that at a Goodwill. Also got this at a Goodwill. We got Tears of the Sun with Bruce Willis. Always really enjoyed this one, even though it didn't do much at the box office and such, but always quite like that film. Another Goodwill find here. We got Crimson Tide. Great movie. Again, always really enjoyed this one. And last but not least, for this segment, we've got Bulletproof Monk, which I have never seen, but I got for $0.25 at the last mom and pop video store standing, so we'll see what happens. Again, if I like it, great. If not, it was only $0.25. So there you go. Alright, so we're going to end it here. This will be part 27. Yeah, 27. So we'll come back in part 28. We'll knock the last 2 stacks out here. And then whatever time we have left, we'll go down to the floor and we'll go through the grandparents' piles, the grandparents' collection. And then we'll be done. So we're almost, again, at the end here. So as always, thank you for watching. Most importantly, take care of yourselves. And we will catch you guys next time, which may be the last part. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to make any promises because every time I do that, I'm wrong. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys soon. Later.